Deadpool is the new superhero film that's not your typical superhero film because this one is a hard R, starring Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool or Wade Wilson. It's about the merc with a mouth, Wade Wilson. He meets this woman named Vanessa and he's in love with her. Everything's going well until they find out that Wade has cancer in his liver, lung, prostate, and brain. But then he gets an opportunity to get rid of his cancer by enlisting in this secret program where they try to mutate him. And this mutation will heal his cancer, but what he doesn't know is that they're trying to make him into a super slave, not a superhero. So Wade Wilson eventually breaks out of there and his face is all messed up and ugh. And he's trying to get revenge on Ajax, the guy who actually did this to him, and then Ajax kidnaps his girlfriend. So of course Wade Wilson has to go stop him. Now I was really looking forward to this movie because it's different. It's a different kind of movie. It's like one of the first rated R superhero movies. Well, Kick-Ass, that's a rated R. Kingsman, actually, as well. It's one of the few rated R superhero comic book movies. And I was actually looking forward to this movie because from the trailers it seemed like they were actually doing Deadpool right. If you remember in X-Men Origins Wolverine, that wasn't really the best treatment of the Deadpool character. They kind of sewed his mouth shut, even though he's the merc with the mouth, and had his swords come out of his wrists. But everything is okay. We don't need to think about that anymore because Deadpool is frickin' awesome. I loved Deadpool so much. I loved it so much that I think Deadpool is actually my new favorite comic book character. Sorry, Joker. Sorry, Batman. Deadpool is freaking awesome. I loved Ryan Reynolds in this movie as Deadpool. I thought he knocked it out of the park. He was definitely the perfect man to play Deadpool. I honestly can't imagine anyone else playing him now because Ryan Reynolds did him so perfectly. His jokes were perfect. The humor in this movie as well, stupendous, especially the comedic relief from T.J. Miller. He was also really funny in this movie. And something I didn't expect, the romance in this movie as well. This could have been the thing that ruined this movie because it is marketed as a superhero love story because it kind of is. The romance of this movie could have ruined it. But they did some hilarious stuff with the romance as well, and it was pretty good. And the girl who plays Vanessa, who's actually in Gotham, which I didn't realize when I saw the movie, but that's pretty cool. I thought she was pretty good too, and she and Ryan Reynolds had good comedic chemistry as well. There's definitely like a 1.5-minute sequence that just made me bust out laughing involving them, and it was just so clever. I loved it. Speaking of the humor, I love the breaking the fourth wall moments when Deadpool would just look at the camera and actually acknowledge that he's in a movie right now. He's talking to the audience, and I loved at one part when a character asked him, "I can hear you," and he's like, "I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to them." Oh yeah, speaking of movies, they also reference X-Men by bringing in Colossus. I was worried about this because this was a full CGI character because the guy who usually plays Colossus in the other X-Men movies, apparently he decided not to do this one. I'm not sure why, so they got another guy to do it and he was just going to be CGI the whole time. I was a little worried by that, but the effects, for being a kind of low budget movie, it's not low, it's a $58 million budget, but that's kind of low for usual comic book movie standards. The special effects were actually handled pretty well, and I thought Colossus looked very good. The guy who played him had some very funny moments with him. I thought it was very good. Also, the new X-Men, that I'm not sure if she's going to appear in other X-Men films or not, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She was really cool. She's like this moody teenage mutant, and she was really awesome in this movie. I thought she was hilarious too. Like, she and Deadpool had a couple funny moments as well. Like, this movie is just hysterical. It is like the perfect satire on usual comic book movies. And Deadpool even has some funny moments with the villain, Ajax, played by Ed Skrein, who was in Transporter Refueled a couple months ago. Yeah, Transporter Refueled, that movie that most likely you didn't like because it's not a good movie. He was actually pretty good in this movie. Was he the best villain in the world? No, definitely not. I still think there are other villains that are better than him, but overall as a villain, he's better than some of the villains we've gotten in the past. At least this one actually seemed to have a personality, and he actually had some funny moments as well. There's a great running gag with him and Deadpool that I just loved. And the other secondary villain, you could say, Angel Dust, I believe her name is. She was also really cool in this movie. She has a great fight scene with Colossus that you probably saw hinted at in the trailer. Overall, guys, I just frickin' loved this movie. I was blown away on every single lever. Just the action scenes as well. like, those were also incredibly well handled. This movie's just a great blend of humor and gore and violence and some dramatic elements. It's the perfect combination of all those things. Deadpool is honestly one of my new favorite comic book films. Deadpool is honestly one of my new favorite comic book films because of all these things that I just mentioned. This movie is a lot of fun. I was so entertained by this movie, especially the credits. The after credit scene in this movie is one of the funniest after credit scenes I've seen in a Marvel film in a while. And they even had some really funny stuff, like in the pre-credits, I guess you could call them that. The credits before the actual movie starts. They had some funny stuff with that too. I honestly have never laughed as hard as I did at an opening credit scene. That's a true accomplishment. I was so surprised that this is a first-time director. This is a first-time director, Tim Miller. Good job. Honestly, guys, I honestly can't think of anything wrong with Deadpool. I'm gonna give it an A+. If you have any doubts about Deadpool, clear your mind of them. It's an excellent, excellent movie, and you need to see it right away. But if you saw Deadpool, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's the perfect Valentine's Day movie. Go out and see it on Valentine's Day. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time, and happy Valentine's Day. Okay, bye.